Okay, hey everyone. Um, I just hit 2,000 subs, and I am beyond honored, but I thought it to myself, and I was like, oh my god, some of my videos are 480p. It's 2017, and I just use my iPhone for audio, and it's really bad. So, I finally got a better microphone. My friend gave me his old microphone. I hope it works. So I'm gonna talk about some stuff that's probably gonna interest you, and then I'm gonna ramble. Um, quick project update. All projects are now delayed by at least a month. This is because I have this new project that I can't talk about because it's super secret, and it involves other, it involves a lot of stuff, and it's not my place to make business decisions. I just want to have fun. So I just invent and make things. Um, but I'm working on this project right now that has to be secret. I'll probably never get credit for it, but in about a month or two, it's gonna help everyone, and a lot of people won't even know it. Um, Maybe. But it's a sick project, but as a result, all other projects are now pushed back. Boron will probably release with the GTS2. This is because it doesn't really work that well on QiYi plastic, so I did a few Valks, I did a Wutre, I did a bunch of cubes. It didn't work out too good on QiYi plastic, but on MoYu plastic, it's pretty sick. A few people have asked for boron cubes, and the first few early people, I'm going to do a few cubes for them, also for experimentation. So I'm going to do a Yushin 5x5. I'm going to do a bunch of other cubes. So that's the update on boron. I have another project that's pretty cool that I'm probably... Am I allowed to talk about that? Do I have any with me? Just to be on the safe side, I won't talk about that project, but that one's been delayed too. I'm really tired, and I've been pretty depressed lately. Um, I got my taxes. I owe $2,000 in taxes. I owe a bunch of money to the bank. Life's expensive, so that's why you gotta stay in school and study a good field. Anyways, um, uh, I'll probably have a project update next week with some cool things to show you, but today I'm going to show you all of the things I've learned from MagLev Tensions, so you can do it at home too. But before I do that, I'm going to give you some warnings. So MagLev Tension is really, really heavy if you're not used to it. So I like it because the old school cubes back in the olden days were pretty heavy, and it reminds me of the past, and I don't mind the weight too much. It's a really marginal, very, very tiny upgrade that you'll probably not even notice. In exchange for the weight, it won't help a lot of people. The next thing is it's very expensive. So the magnets, if you're using weak magnets, it's going to be even more heavy. So to compensate for the weight, you have to use lighter but stronger, more expensive magnets. So let's just dive right into it. The thing about MagLev tensions that I've learned is that each design uses a different spring tension. You'll notice some cubes have lighter springs, some cubes have heavier springs, and with the magnetic force you have to accommodate that too. And the next thing you have to keep in mind is in all of these cubes, the center is only 1 centimeter wide, between 0.8 centimeters to 1 centimeter. So the amount of room you have inside the centerpiece is very limited. So there is a simple trick to get around that, and that trick is this. If you use very thin magnets that you can stack, then you can stack them selectively to give you the right strength. So this is 2, this is 1, and these are really strong. Here are 3. So what I recommend is the highest strength ring magnet that you can find, that's also very thin and at least 10 millimeters wide. Ideally, you'll want about 13 millimeters wide, but for me, I've found that 10 works fine. The next thing you'll have to know is a lot of these ring magnets, the inner diameter is about 3 millimeters. That means that some screws, like the Weilong GTS, they won't fit, and you'll have it a little crooked, so it'll have more force on one side than the other, and the whole cube is imbalanced. So personally, the trick that I've found that solves this completely, I don't have my Weilong GTS V2, but it's in my V2 at work. The trick to solve this completely is to use a very, very thick screw. And the thick screw that fits the inner diameter perfectly is the screw and core of the ShengShou FengYuan. That one is the best for MagLev tensions. You're already starting to see the cost going up because you have to get a certain screw and a certain core. The Valk is pretty good, but the Valk has a little, like, let me see if I can find a Valk screw. I have so much stuff on my desk, I practically can just reach around and get pretty much most parts. I know that I have a Valk screw somewhere around here. I have my calipers, so I'm going to show you some measurements. This is a Weilong GTS screw. All of my videos are like one shot, one take, and I'm really surprised that people watch my horribly unscripted videos where I just make it up. So the Valk screw has this little tiny bit, it's not flush at the top. And you'll notice already that the Valk screw is wider. I don't think I have a ShengShou screw, but these are my calipers. So the Valk screw is 0.18 inches wide, whereas the Weilong GTS is 0.008 inches wide. So you're going to want a thicker, beefier screw without a little flange thing. So you're definitely going to go for the ShengShou FengYuan screw if you can have it. The next thing to note is the center pieces. You'll notice with the Valk center pieces, they look like this. There's a little cone in the middle. You'll notice that in the ShengShou, not the ShengShou, yeah, the ShengShou 2, the Weilong GTS, all of those MoYu centers, they have a thing in the middle that uses their quote-unquote like hollow pillar system, which increases the friction for the center cap to hold. QiYi doesn't use that because their production, their tolerances are much, much better than MoYu, so they can get away with using their caps, and their caps also reach deeper into the plastic. But to fit the magnets, you actually have to scoop out all of that plastic, and it's going to take between 1 to 2 hours to do this manually using cutters, and it's going to look ugly. But if you have a Dremel, you can scoop them out in about an hour. So this is the center for my magnetic M3 with MagLev tensions. You'll see that I've scooped out the whole inner part. This is another example from, this is a Gans. It has to have room for the magnets to fit flush with the plastic. This is the Gans without scooping the plastic out. This one's the easiest to remove. You'll notice a lot of ring magnets on the internet, they're countersunk. Unless you're using the countersunk magnet for the top, you sort of want to avoid this because the thinner the magnet is, the more force between them you get, because when you get a thicker magnet, all of the magnetic force, how to describe this? You want to go wider rather than thicker, because when you go thicker, the magnetic force radiates around the cube, not the cube, the magnet, whereas when you have thin magnets that are only like their magnetic force goes this way or this way, and you have a bigger surface area, you have more force between the two things. I hope I explained that well enough to understand. So once you set up your cube, you scoop out the little plastic and you set it up, you have to figure out the best combination of the force for your cube. And it's also personal preference, so it's going to take at least 2 to 3 disassemblies and reassemblies to get the maglev tension to work for your cube. And another reason why we're not going to ever offer this for sale at the cubicle is because since magnetism is a inverse squared law, I talk about this in my other videos, the closer you get them, the strength goes up significantly. They're much, much, much harder to tension because the amount of force 1 millimeter off is significantly higher than if you were using springs. So when you get to that sweet spot on one side, it's hard to find it for all 6 sides. And you have to be really good at tensioning. And that's another reason why I can't recommend this to everyone, because you have to be okay with the weight for a tiny difference, and you have to be really good at tensioning, and like it takes a lot of time to set this up. And oftentimes if you're doing this in a MoYu cube, it's gonna remove the center pillar and your caps won't fit very nice. So there's a lot of drawbacks, and that's why I can't recommend maglev tensions, but a lot of people are curious, so I might as well give this a little tutorial to everyone. Basically, to summarize, use very thin, flat, wide magnets, about 10 to 13 millimeters, with an inner diameter of about 2 to 3. 2 is a little harder to find, 3 is easier. Use the strongest magnet you can find. Make them thin so you can stack them to find your perfect tension. Be careful with tensioning. Scoop out the plastic, and be very careful along the way. Use ShengShou screws. That's pretty much it. And for all of the people asking if I'm going to make a cube, you've totally missed all of the hints and Easter eggs I've been dropping. And besides, everyone knows that if you're not Chinese, you can't make a Rubik's Cube. You can't produce things in America because we have no injection molding companies here. So that's pretty much it until my next few project updates. This really big project that I'm working on, it's pretty much done. It was super fast-tracked, and people at work are very pleased. We can't release that one yet, but yep, that's pretty much it. And oh my god, thank you for watching my videos. I finally got a microphone. Talk to you next time.